presidency campaign. They are still. Anyway, so look forward to today because I know there's a lot of interesting stories. Let's start with the headlines from the Times, Kojo.
Well, the Times has the flash story. There's a photo of a Mercedes 207 Benz bus in water and some taxis as well. And the headline says, floods wreak havoc in Accra, destroy property, render many homeless. And right beneath that, there's a photo of the president, and he says, I want Ghana... I think it should be Accra. I want Accra to be the cleanest city in Africa by end of my tenure. They wrote, I want Ghana to be the cleanest city. Traders, we can't access NBSSI funds. And CRI applauds winners, organizers of Science Smart Quiz competition.
The Daily Graphic says, ICOMS makes strong showing, rakes in 3.7 billion CD revenue in 3 months. Use legal means to challenge election results. Asante Hene. Then there's a picture of the Vice President, Dr. Baumia, with the Asante Hene. And on page 16 of the Daily Graphic, it's an honor to edit Daily Graphic on Wednesday. That's Dr. Elsie Efa Kaufman.
Now, the finder, Dr. Baumia, assures Asante Hene of NPP's commitment to peaceful campaign and elections. Upper West gets 2,163 projects. Akufo-Addo commissions 5.1 million Ghana cedi Hamile Hapa water supply. Payment to investors of defunct fund management companies has commenced. There's a photo of Mrs. Jemima Oware. GAIADEC sets up committees to deepen community relationship. This is the Ghana aluminium development related matters. And 17 presidential aspirants file nomination to contest in December 7 elections.
All right, the Daily Guide says how NPP MP was murdered. That's the big story on their front page.
Blow account.
Yep. Volta rebels adopt new strategy. Go to court if you have issues with results. That's Otumfo speaking. 15 million euro waste plan for Upper West. Plus, torrential rain batters Accra.
Now, the Chronicle, the politics of presidential chairs. Mahama preceded Nana in carrying his own seat. MP runs for cover as chieftaincy dispute turns bloody. Nana tells Upper West to vote for more as he outlines 2,000 projects in the region. And 3 women file for presidency, 3 others running mates.
The Daily Statesman says, we are in a contest of ideas, not war. Baumia reaffirms MPP's commitment to peaceful elections. Interim Malian president grateful to Akufo-Addo. CVM says Mahama must be questioned on Saglemi housing chop and Upper West benefits from 2,163 government projects.
Now, the new crusading guide, gold smuggling syndicate busted at Kotoka International Airport. Upper West residents jubilate. The president is there. He cut the sword for the solid waste plant. You will go far. Asante Ima blesses Baumia. Saglemi housing scandal invites Mahama. CVM urges CID. And John Kumar rallies vibrant young patriots for victory.
The Herald says more illegal guns and bullets enter Ghana. Akufo-Addo makes injury time police promotions. National security busts smugglers at Kotoka with gold worth $1 million. And struggling Amidu reveals $4 million has been blown on a Japa deal so far.
Now, the custodian, Okwe summons Ambrose Derry over MP's murder. The story of the president's visit to the Upper West is also on the front page. NPP PCs filed to secure majority seats. Baumia and Asante Ima are also on the front page, and court orders arrest of Kwesi Hazel.
And the BNFT says Cocoa to spend $250 million on farm rehabilitation program. Upper West residents welcome solid waste plant at Perisi. Spend wisely, broaden tax base to close huge fiscal gap. That's the World Bank speaking.
Now, the Economic Times, banks to give more loans. There's a picture of Dr. Ernest Addison, governor of the Bank of Ghana. Ghana records lower trade surplus. This story is by Elam Desewu. And honey to earn Ghana $1.5 billion per annum as Ghana Exim Bank board supports the industry.
Let me give you a few stories online. And citynewsroom.com, GRA confirms seizure of 436 pistols and ammunition at Tema Port. Also, thank you, Mali's interim president to Akufo-Addo. Other stories, driver of slain Infanteman MP in stable condition. And we also deserve bailout, aggrieved men's gold customers to SEC. Now, from yesterday and the flooding over the weekend, Wager residents appeal for storm drains to curb flooding. This is also on citynewsroom.com. Now, City Business News leads with, we also deserve bailout, aggrieved men's gold customers to SEC. Now, Registrar General begins payment to investors of collapsed fund management companies, and Bank of Ghana warns public against unlicensed money doublers. This story has been trending for a few days. We go to Majo Online. Heavy rains cut off 3 communities in Gas South. Also, parts of Accra and Kaswa flooded after 3 hours of heavy rainfall. And Amase withdraws independent candidature after police by Akufo-Addo and Ochene. There's another one from Takwa. Miracle Duke's family assaulted in latest attack on MP. This is some very troubling one that we need to keep an eye on. If you go to Star News, tension in Talensi as 11 Tindama clash with Tongran over Chinese miners. Also, voting Akufo-Addo out is communal labor, according to Asidun Ketia. And stay away from Navrongo Central. Kofi Addo supporters warn Akufo-Addo. Other stories, Takwa MP Miracle Duke's family attacked with cutlasses. Now, the big story in Nigeria has to do with the end and the dissolution of SARS. The story from Channels News says IGP dissolves SARS after widespread protest. Also, police must act to identify punish SARS operatives involved in rights abuse and murder. So this is a big story from Nigeria. In other African headlines, AU lifts post-coup suspension of Mali, and mystery outbreak in South Sudan kills 3. This is from the East African. And globally, the corona issue is still trending big time. Let's come to you, Kojo, with the first few stories on the weekend's activities.
Yes. Now, the center spread of the Ghanaian Times. After hours of torrential rainfall, parts of Accra flood. And flooding destroys property, render many homeless. Now, the story says, following hours of torrential rainfall on late Friday and Saturday, parts of Accra and Kaswa were flooded, resulting in the destruction of property and disruption to traffic. Residents of the most affected areas, including Adabraka, Kaneshi, Malam, Circle, Wija, Jolu, Odoko, among others, were seen salvaging what they could after the flood water entered their homes. At Wija, Abigelano reports that the floods led to the collapse of some walls and structures and washed away personal belongings of occupants of the affected houses. Some residents were forced to flee their homes and take refuge in other nearby buildings as the rain fell non-stop. The situation was not different at Adabraka and Jolu, where residents were seen collecting flood water with buckets from their homes. The roads in the communities were equally flooded as the water gushed out of the already full gutters, making it difficult for vehicles and humans to move. Emmanuel Nikwe, a resident of Adabraka, lamented to the Ghanaian Times about the trauma residents in the area go through, saying that it seems to them that their problems do not concern politicians. Raisa Sambu reports from Kaswa that roads linking 3 communities at English and Manfrom, that is Peace Town, Tomefa, and Nurses Quarters to Kaswa, Nurses Quarters to Kaswa were also washed away, leaving residents stranded following the heavy downpour. It was an extremely difficult experience for commuters on the Kaswa-Accra highway, who had to stay in traffic for hours as the flood waters covered the road and made it unmotorable. Now, commercial activities were also virtually halted as rainwater from the hills overlooking the Kaswa toll booth came eastwards in the Accra direction.
Some of the
blocking
videos
the
were
gutters.
scary.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, some of it were really troubling.
They say that in the end, the Accra-Takoradi highway experienced a traffic jam. They describe it as a lock jam as a result of what happened, and people could not move.
Let me just give you 2 quick angles. Wager residents appeal for storm drains to keep flooding. This story is on citynewsroom.com by Ernest Ahimfo, and it says residents of Wager and Greater Accra are calling on government to construct storm drains in the area to keep flooding. They say the unavailability of such drains compound their problems when it rains. Then when you go to the Daily Analyst, Meteo forecast more rains. The southern part of the country, including Accra and its environs, were inundated with heavy rains, and the Meteo Agency is warning of more rains. Says it is analyzing why the rains were heavy this time when it has been the trend for the rains to be more moderate in October. And then the story then gives some details of the rains. So we'll come back to this later during the show, but let's go back to the Infantiman MP. That's a huge story.
Yeah, that's on the front page and page 3 of the Daily Guide. Now, the story says details are emerging about how bloodthirsty young men who are believed to be armed robbers shot and killed Ekokwansa Hayford, the MPP MP from Infantiman in the central region between the night of last Thursday and Friday. It is turning out that at least 6 men were involved in the daredevil operation near Mankesim which senseless killing has since sparked outrage and outpouring of grief from all over the country. Now, they say, Daily Guide sources say the hoodlums used an unnumbered taxi for their operation, and the occupants of which were fully armed, and they stopped and searched more than 10 vehicles on the often quiet Abeaze Dominase Abeaze Doaze Mankesim Road in the region, portions of which are still under construction. Now, if you get to the story, there are
paper
different
then
angles.
gives the angles as
Yes,
to what
it
they did.
provides different, like their MO, several eyewitness accounts, because some of the victims who also experienced the robbery also spoke to Daily Guide.
Bobie was there on Friday and also came up with some of these. Some of the people spoke about how the robbers were literally going on rampage. Now, there are two angles here. Driver of slain Infantiman MP in stable condition. This is good news because it has been reported he had died. Now, this story on citynewsroom.com says the Central Regional Police Command has confirmed that the driver of the late MP for Infantiman Ekokwansai Ford is not dead. According to the command, he is receiving treatment at the Winnipeg Trauma Hospital in Central Region. Earlier reports suggested that the driver, who was only identified as Yusuf, died while on admission at the hospital after sustaining gunshot wounds. But the PRO for Central Regional Police Command, Irene Opon, in a City News interview said the driver's condition had stabilized. Now, Kojo, there's another story on
An MP.
not even that. The 436 pistols and ammunition at the Tema port. Before you go to the Mekunduka one, this story is written by Neteli Nete, and it says the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has confirmed the seizure of some pistols and ammunition at the Tema port. A statement from the GRA said the authority, in collaboration with state authorities at the Tema port, impounded a 20-foot container containing 436 pistols, 26 packs of 50 pieces of ammunition, and 140 milliliter piece of pepper spray that were illegally imported from Turkey into Ghana. The arms and ammunition were found to have been concealed in personal effects made up of clothing, shoes, and bags, among others. GRA, in the statement signed by the Director of Communications and Public Affairs, Florence Asante, said the arms were detected during a physical examination exercise on October 9, just a couple of days ago, at the Terminal 3 facility by officials of Tema Command of Customs. Hey, Charlie. Now, the story says the container, described on arrival at Tema Port as containing personal effects, household goods, and a carding machine, were flagged as red channel. After examination, 18 packages identified as restricted items were found in the container, including 436 pistols, into bracket sidearms, 26 packs of 50 pieces of ammunition, and 140 ml piece of pepper spray. Charlie, this is serious. Now, an inventory of the items was taken in the presence of officers of the Preventive Wing of the Customs Division, BNI, National Security, and Police. All reps, including the clearing agents, signed against the total number of arms and ammunition seized. A seizure notice was issued to the clearing agent, and the seized consignment was placed in the custody of the customs. I don't know if anybody was arrested, though. Okay, so the clearing agent at the center of the seizure is also assisting the Tema Harbour Police with the investigation. The GRA further urged the public to desist from acts seeking to desist from six. I don't understand what this is. Okay, to desist from asking where the seized consignment is being kept or something. I'm not sure what the last word is saying. There's another story in the Herald about this as well.
Yes, so the Herald also has a take on that. They say more illegal guns and bullets enter Ghana, and they virtually carry the same story. They provide some details in terms of container numbers, and they even give the name of the clearing agent who is assisting the police in investigations. Plus, they also quote Colonel Festus Boahia Boaje, who says that the country's security architecture is a weak system.
But what about the MP in Takwa? What's happening there?
MP runs for cover as chieftaincy dispute turns bloody. Now, the story says there is uneasy calm at Dompim Pepesa. I hope I have the name right. A farming community located in the Takwa Inswaye municipality in the western region, following a chieftaincy dispute which has led to a number of people being butchered over the weekend. The MP for the area, George Merkuduka, has taken cover.
Charlie.
He confirmed the attack in a telephone interview and indicated that he was a prime target the gangsters had wished to attack, so he had to escape and take cover. And he told the people that, quote, "As I speak to you now, I'm hiding because I was a target." Now, the paper goes on to write that it will be recalled that recently some gangsters attacked the substantive chief and fired tear gas into his room, forcing him to jump from a 3-story building to escape attack.
Hey.
And those behind the firing of the tear gas are still walking free, despite reports before the Takwa Police Command. And the MP has petitioned the Ministry of Interior over the conduct of the rival chief and his gangsters, and it appears nothing has been done. And the paper says people are fleeing the town, and that's the police service.
I've seen some of the pictures of the attack. Charlie, it's serious. So cutlass wounds on people's, on ladies' head. It's just crazy. Let's go to other stories, Nathan.
Well, let's just stay a bit with security. And the president, according to the Herald, has made a last-minute promotion in the Ghana Police Service, which has 4 deputy commissioners, or has elevated these 4 deputy commissioners to commissioners of police and 23 assistant commissioners of police to the rank of deputy commissioners of police. Now, this was carried in a release signed by Superintendent Sheila Kesiabeye Bachman, Director of Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service, on Friday. Let's do some election stories. And on page 16 of the Daily Graphic, you have the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II admonishing losing candidates in this year's election who may be aggrieved to use legal means to challenge the results instead of resorting to violence. He said Ghana's democratic credentials were at stake, but expressed the confidence that the country would pass the test once again. And he gave the advice to the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, when he paid a courtesy call at the Menchia Palace in Kumasi yesterday as part of a 4-day tour of the Ashanti region.
Now, if you go to the finder, payment to investors of defunct fund management companies has commenced. This is Mrs. Jemima Owari speaking. The story says payment of the bailout funds to investors of defunct fund management companies whose licenses were revoked by the SEC has begun. The first batch of investors received payment as at close of business on Wednesday, October 7, 2020. All 170 investors who have submitted redemption requests by start of business on Wednesday constitute the first batch of beneficiaries of the bailout program. The Registrar General, Mrs. Jemima Owari, announced this in a statement dated October 9, 2020. And in all, claims of over 2,850 investors amounting to 563 million Ghana cedis is to be assessed. Now, there's another story about the National Board for Small Scale Industries.
Yes, it's here. It's on the Ghanaian Times, page 13. It says, we can't access MBSSI funds. Story by Abigail Arnold says, traders in some major markets in the capital are lamenting the inability to access government special funds set up to cushion micro, small, and medium enterprises from the impacts of COVID-19. In separate engagements with the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, on a campaign tour of the region last Friday, the traders complained that though they had applied for the loans, they are yet to receive the funds. They thus pleaded with the government to expedite the release of the monies to sustain their business. Now, Chairman of Spare Parts Dealers Nana Asiedu complained of slow business in recent times, which had been worsened by the impact of COVID-19. Now, Madam La Lamle Lamte, the Mala Market Queen, shared similar sentiments when the First Lady visited. According to her, though most traders had applied for the government loans, none had been disbursed yet. So then the First Lady, in her response, sort of assured them that she would do her best.
There's a story in the Finder, page 13, and I think it links to a larger conversation that we've been having, the Sino-Hydro roads. Now, this story says, GUIDEX sets up committees to deepen community partnership. And it says the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation has set up and inaugurated 19-member committees for the various bauxite communities where bauxite mining and or refineries are going to take place. In that is Etiwa in the eastern region, Awasu in the western region, Yinahini and Pasasu in the Ashanti region. And their focus is on sustainable and development mining. This story is important because Sino-Hydro was supposed to be the biggest thing to give us a lot of infrastructure. And we are seeing some, we've not seen all, and we've not had any proper update as to where we are with Sino-Hydro and going forward. So as the institution which is going to oversee the integrated aluminium development is doing this, it will be great to also know where we are with the roads. Yeah.
Nathan, if you don't have any story, we also deserve bailout. Men's Gold customers are also unhappy. And this story is on citybusinessnews.com. Some aggrieved customers of the Fund Gold dealership company Men's Gold Ghana Limited have reiterated calls on SEC to bail them out on the basis of the principle of equal justice. They say the government and SEC must take the blame for their plight. And I think they've also heard that some people are being paid, and therefore they're asking that government also considers them in the bailout package it announced. They had a meeting and they issued a 4-point statement calling for equal compassion and support. That's all we have time for today's edition of the newspaper review. Coming up next is the City Business News.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation. On every